Imagining Things by Ted Klein. I once saw a scary movie on TV. Maybe you've seen it too. It was about a babysitter who, one night, gets a series of threatening telephone calls from someone unknown. She's in this big, spooky house with a couple of kids asleep upstairs. At first, she thinks the calls are just a prank, but as they continue, she realizes that there's a psycho in the house. She becomes more and more frightened and phones the police and has them put a tracer on the line. After she gets still another call from the psycho, the police phone her back. Quick! They tell her, get out! We've just discovered where the calls are coming from. Right inside the house with you. My little brother and I were watching that movie in our basement, sprawled on the broken down old couch, and we were so stunned we almost fell to the floor. We had no idea at the time that the movie was based on a popular campfire tale that had been told to generations of Boy Scouts and summer campers. It caught us completely by surprise. The notion that the thing you feared the most might be hiding inside your own house, practically beside you? Well, neither one of us ever forgot it. Weezy, that's my brother, was always more affected by things like what have you, the unseen, more than I was. Mom once said he was more sensitive. I still remember that. I remember looking up the word in the dictionary and trying to figure out whether it meant she liked him more. His real name is Eugene, but when I was little, I couldn't pronounce that. It came out Weezy, and the name sort of stuck, I guess. I guess that sort of thing happens in a lot of families. Sensitive or not, we both watch the same type of movie, the type where if half the cast isn't either dead or bloody by the end, you haven't gotten your money's worth. Probably the main reason Weezy watched those movies was because I did. He liked them well enough when I was sitting there on the couch next to him. But afterward, at bedtime, he'd regret it. I miss him. It was like he was a puppy, addicted to the very thing he was allergic to. In fact, Weezy had to sleep with a pink seashell nightlight. I didn't need one. Nightlights were for babies. And I slept with my door closed, because the light spilling out from Weezy's bedroom would have kept me awake. Mom and Dad's room was around the bend in the hall, so the light must not have bothered me. I was 13 when they split up, which meant that Weezy was 11. Dad moved to the city and hardly ever came to see us, and when he did, he looked sheepish and uncomfortable. There's no getting around it. It was a rotten thing he did, and all the explanations in the world didn't make it better. Mom had to pull Weezy and me out of school at the end of the term. We ended up in a different school district on the other side of town, in an apartment upstairs from a family called the Mumblers. Weezy and I immediately dubbed them the Mumblers. He and I had to share a room now, or, as Mom put it, making it sound jolly, bunk together. At last, we were spared the indignity of bunk beds. There's only so much togetherness a guy can stand. Also, since he regarded me now as his protector, Weezy agreed to give up his nightlight. I would not have put up with it. Mom had to go back to work. She hadn't held a job since before I was born, and she was relieved to find one at a bank less than half an hour's drive from where we lived. I've heard people joke about banker's hours, meaning a short workday of 9 to 3, the time banks used to close. But that wasn't true of our mother. She'd be out before 8 in the morning and wouldn't be home till after 6, or even later, if she'd been shopping for groceries. She was tired all the time, and out of patience. There's a word for a change like the one we've just gone through. Traumatic. A father leaves, a family gets uprooted, and the kids are supposed to go wrong. The funny thing is, though, Weezy began going wrong before any of this happened. Even when all 4 of us were living in the old house and life seemed relatively secure, he had begun to have what my mother called episodes. For example, there was the episode at the zoo, when he wouldn't go near a cage of monkeys and instead dashed behind my father and hid. He was young then, but not so young that this behavior didn't draw puzzled stares from the people around us. He said that the monkeys were whispering things to him. Bad things was all he would tell us. And then, more mysterious still, they say they've been expecting me. And then there was the time he broke the tall mirror in the downstairs clothes closet, smashed it with his fist. Mom had to drive him to the doctor, and I think he got 9 stitches in his hand. He claimed he'd seen someone in the mirror that wasn't him. I knew my brother was odd. He's certainly an odd duck, isn't he? My father once said when I was with Weezy. I often found myself repeating that expression to myself, an odd duck. But for some reasons, some things didn't become apparent till I actually began living in the same room with him. Like how little he seemed to sleep. We usually went to bed around the same time, but I would almost always drop off before he did. And if I'd wake in the middle of the night, he'd often be lying there with his eyes open. Once, or maybe more than once, I woke to hear him talking softly in his sleep. I couldn't make out the words. "Weezy," I said, "you're having a nightmare. Wake up." "I am awake," he said. Mostly he was fine. In school, he got better grades than I did. His teachers described him as impulsive, erratic, prone to fantasizing, but they also found him a delight and a real asset to the class, which is more than they ever said about me. That's why it was so shocking when he went after one of them with a microphone stand. Figure that. It was in the new school district, our 3rd year there. I didn't hear about it till I got home, because I was in high school by then and Weezy was still in middle school. Weezy had shown up for Tuesday afternoon chorus practice as usual, only to find a substitute for Mrs. Morton. Some man from outside the district. No sooner had Weezy laid eyes on him than, in front of everyone, he ran to the heavy steel microphone stand, picked it up, face and all, and swung it at the man's head. He missed it, thankfully. It was way too heavy for him to control. I came home just in time to see Mom driving up with Weezy in the car, both of them looking stunned, neither looking at the other. He'd been expelled, would probably be sent to a special school, and would have to be monitored by youth counselors. We never found out what had set him off, and he never chose to explain it. There had been nothing special about the new chorus master, certainly nothing threatening that any of us could see. He was just an ordinary man, a bit on the tall side, with glasses, dark hair, and a rather dark, fuzzy beard. I confess that when I heard Mom talk about a special school, my heart leapt just for a moment at the thought that Weezy would be going away and I'd have our own to myself. That's not how it worked out. He was transferred to a different school, but he got to live at home. In fact, for all his trouble with the authorities, his weekly appointments with a therapist at a country clinic, his prescription medications, and his official new status as a youthful offender, Weezy's day-to-day existence didn't seem to change much. He just seemed to have less homework. Thanks to the pills, he slept better at night, and I slept better as well. Thank you. When a year later I found a minimum wage weekend job checking inventory at Allied Industries, an easy couple of bus rides from where we lived, Weezy soon managed to get one too, in the company mailroom. Mom had forced me to recommend him. It was, if anything, a cushier job than mine. I had to spend my Saturdays pushing a wagon through the aisles of a warehouse full of lawn care products, insect spray, and fertilizer. Weezy, on the other hand, worked in the adjoining building, sorting mail-in cards from potential customers. He didn't even have to get his hands dirty. He held that job at Allied until the weekend before he was due to start high school, the local branch where I was about to be a senior. Maybe he was stressed out by the prospect of entering the normal world again, of returning to an ordinary school. Not the one for special needs kids that he'd been attending. All I know is that Phil, one of the guys I worked with, hurried up to me in the warehouse that afternoon and told me there'd been some trouble with my brother and that I was to take him home. He went there after Mr. Lowell with some bug spray, Phil told me. They're not going to press charges. No, it was, Mr. Lowell was Weezy's boss. He wasn't a bad guy. Just a mild, inoffensive old man who, because of his breathing problem, barely raised his voice above a whisper. Later that day, I heard my mother on the phone with him, apologizing over and over. It was still light, but Weezy had already gone to bed. Do you think it has anything to do with that? I asked Mom when she hung up. I'd been reading a family psychology website on the computer. I mean, dealing with a male authority figure? I wish it did. She looked grim. Most likely, Eugene's problem is organic, the chemistry of the brain. That's what Dr. Perlmutter thinks. I wondered uneasily, just for a moment, if the same chemicals that flowed through my brother's brain might be seeping into my own. Sometime after midnight, I woke to find Weezy crouched at our bedroom window. It was late August, with a sliver of the moon, and in its light, I could see that he was staring intently at something outside. As a rule, he now slept soundly, but maybe he hadn't taken his meds, or maybe he'd just gone to bed too early. And, of course, it had been a pretty upsetting day. Weezy, I said, what are you doing? Come here. His voice was hushed, frightened to a certain extent. I got out of bed and crossed the room. Can you see it? He said, not turning his head. I peered into the night. There isn't much of a view, merely the neighbor's house and, between it and ours, a twisted old maple. I don't see anything. Something's out there clinging to that tree, he said. You don't see it? You don't hear it? No! I raised my voice. What is it that you're looking at? What are you looking for? I'm not sure. Quiet down, he said, squinting as if to see better. It's big, like some kind of big, dark, furry caterpillar, covered all over with, like our brushes? I knew what he meant. The two matching hairbrushes Dad has given us one Christmas. They were labeled genuine boar's bristle, and I remember asking Dad what that meant. Peg hair, he said, grinning. Well, I said gently, they are definitely caterpillars in the trees. Little ones. It's gypsy moth season. He took no notice. It's whispering things. I asked him, what's it saying? To humor him, I listened. He paused, caught his breath. It's promising to come for me. He turned. You can't hear it? Not even now? I turned around. I could hear the crickets, a soft breeze, nothing more, or so it seemed. It's never hard to hear word sounds in the breeze, just not full words. The tree was just a dark, shifting mass with an occasional flicker of moonlight on leaves. Who knows what might have been hiding in it? Hey, was that... Did I just see a face? No. That was probably just a shadow. I mean, why would there be a face in trees? It can't be. Nah, you're seeing things. Who knows? Maybe it was just a cat. Maybe. You have been listening to Imagining Things by T.E.D. Klein, or Ted Klein, if you'd love to call him that. This was part 1 of the whole story, and I will be bringing you the rest, a continuation of the story, this week on Phantom Reads. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again on the next episode. Bye bye.